I've created and published my own VS Studio Code extension to the marketplace, and it has 24 installs. I will show you the process I went through to create and publish this extension, and I will share tips that will save you a lot of time and headache. First, we need to install Node.js. Open the first link after searching Node.js and click on download. Open it, next, accept, next, 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 install, finish. Now search for Git, click on the first link, and I will download for Windows. For me, it's 64-bit. You cannot create an extension without Node.js, and you need Git to upload your extension to GitHub. That's where you will publish your extension. Now, once downloaded, open it and click next, 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 yes, yes, next, 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 install. Now open your file explorer and pick a location where you want your projects to be created. For me, it's in a folder called coding project. Go with your mouse to the URL in the file explorer, click it and type cmd. Press enter. This will open a command prompt in the current location. Now search for Visual Studio Code, open the first link, then API, then get started, your first extension. Now you can copy and paste the lines I will use. To create an extension, copy the first line. If you're going to create more than one extension, copy the other two lines. Now paste your line in the command prompt. After pasting the command in the console, type Y, enter, wait it out. Now you get an interactive menu where with up and down arrows, you can pick and choose what extension you want. These two are for just a generic extension, and the ones above are for particular extension. Most likely a general extension will be for your case. Now you can decide whether it should be TypeScript or JavaScript. I highly recommend TypeScript because every example you find on the internet, most of them will be in TypeScript, and it's not that big of a difference coding in TypeScript. Before I used only JavaScript and recently decided to try out TypeScript, and it wasn't as scary as I thought. Now the name of the extension, for me it will be a coding timer. Enter. I'll keep the default suggestion and just hit enter. Write a description. Yes, initialize a Git repository, so type Y. Which bundler to use? I'll pick unbundled. We're keeping it as simple as possible. For package manager, I'll pick npm. It's complete. Pick open with code. You can close the terminal. Right now, you have your extension opened in Visual Studio Code. By pressing F5, you will run the extension, which opens another Visual Studio Code that has the extension installed. You can test it by hitting Ctrl Shift and P and typing hello world and enter. This will give you a notification, hello world from coding time. This is your extension. We can minimize it for now. Now in the Explorer, which is this option, your code is located in source, then extension.ts. You can delete the test folder. We will not use it. You can remove the comments after reading them. This is the function where you will code in. It doesn't get called when Visual Studio Code opens. It will, I think you have control over when the extension activates, but by default it will activate when we run any kind of command from our extension. In our case, we have only one command, which is the hello world command. My extension will be a timer that starts when we run a command. Right now we have a hello world command. Let's change it to start a timer. To change the command, we can find it in the package.json. This is where you will configure your extension and add your commands. And maybe I think you can also change when the extension gets activated, I think from activation. But let's find the command, Control F and this part right here. This is our ID for the command, and with Control F we found the command here. So it has a title. I'll change it to start a timer, and I'll change the identifier to start timer. And when I register it, I'll also use the proper identifier. And when the command is started, it will notify the user 30-second timer has started. Now to see what has changed, we press this green arrow to restart. Now our VS Code window has the new changes, so Ctrl Shift P, start a timer, and here it is. Press enter, a 30-second timer has started. Now let's make an actual timer. I created a variable for when the timer has started, and I update the variable with the current time when the command is activated. And now I have created an interval that every 5 seconds will check what is the current date, which also includes the current time. And I check the difference from the date when I started the timer. If the difference is more than 30 seconds, which I think is 30,000 because it's in milliseconds, I will stop the interval that checks the time every 5 seconds and I will send a notification that the timer is over. Now I will restart and let's check the timer. Start the timer, enter, 30-second timer has started and timer is over. Now I update it instead of 30 seconds to be 30 minutes. The difference has to be 30 minutes and the notification is updated. This example is quite simple. So here's a bit more complex example. I've made an extension where the command will search for a file. Once I pick the file, when I type a comment, I get this auto-completion. When I press tab, I can type in this place. So this was a bit more complex functionality. Or maybe your extension will need to add an icon here or an icon here. So how to find proper documentation for what you're looking for? In the website for references, you can go to vscode API and here you can find a little bit of information. But the most valuable place on how to implement a functionality in VS Code is in overview, then code samples. This will open a GitHub page and down below you can see all kinds of examples. So here is a notification sample and usually they have some kind of demo on here. Here it is. Here is a regular notification. Here is a warning with some actions. And what you can do, you can go to the source extension.ts and by looking at the code, you can get an understanding what to do to implement it yourself. That's how I was able to add this auto-completion functionality. I couldn't find much help in the regular documentation or in these guides right here. Let's say we are done. Now let's upload our extension. What to do next? Back to the overview, go down to publishing. Now let's copy the npm install for VSCE, open your code editor and in the terminal, paste it. In your readme file, you have template text. You have to make changes. I'll remove this. For features, it's just a regular timer. I've made a really simple readme, but yours would be with a bit more info. My project is just an example. Go to github.com and hit new, give a name to a repository and create repository. Now we have to connect to the repository. First, you have to set up your name for GitHub. For me, it's Helpful Projects. That's who I am on GitHub. It's my profile name. Press enter. And then the same, but for user.email. So git config 2-s global user.email. And then the email for GitHub. And press enter. Now we have to set up SSH. Type in Google GitHub SSH. Open the first link. Go to generate new SSH key. Open git bash. Copy the first line. Paste it. And change it to your email in these quotations. For file, just press enter. And passphrase, just press enter. For no passphrase, press enter again. Now go to your C drive, users, your current user, then .ssh, and open with Notepad your file that ends with .pub, so .pub. Copy the contents from that file. Go to GitHub, and then settings, then SSH and GPG keys, then press new SSH key, title it, and paste the contents from the .pub file. Now go back to Visual Studio Code, stage all your changes, name them, then press commit. Now go back to your repository that you created and copy this line. Go back and paste it in the terminal. Then the second one, paste it in the terminal. And the final one. It will ask you a question for the fingerprint. Just type yes and enter. And when we refresh, we have our code here. Now let's create a license. Go to add file, create new file. Then start typing license. a button with choose a license template will show up, and press OK. And here, for example, you can pick MIT license, review and submit, commit changes, commit change. Now type git pull, enter. You have your synchronized with the repository. Now go to this green button that says code, press it, go on HTTPS and copy the what's in here, and you will need it right here. So you will not have this repository field. You will have to add it with type git and URL what you copied. Now also add this publisher field with a name there. Now we need to get a personal access token. So go back to the publishing extensions page and go down to get a personal access token and click on create organization. It will open this page and go down to create an organization, which says sign in to Azure DevOps. Open it, continue, fill out the fields and press continue. Now go to user settings, then personal access token. Press on new token, pick whatever name you want. For organization, press on all accessible organizations. And for scopes, go to custom defined, press on show all scopes and find marketplace and select read, publish and manage and click create. Now store your token in a safe place. Go back to the publishing extensions page, go down to step 4 where it's create a publisher. Go to the link. Now click on Visual Studio Marketplace Publisher Management page. And here I have my previous extension. Press on create publisher and fill out the mandatory fields with a name and ID. This is the ID and this is the name. For me, I've just used my name. To verify you've created the publisher, type vsce login and your publisher ID. I think the publisher ID is case sensitive. I got an error password is required, but I tried again, and this time with proper casing. And for pasting the personal access token, I used Ctrl-Shift-V, not just Ctrl-V. And verification succeeded, so everything is working correctly. Now type vsce publish, press enter. Once again paste the personal access token, and it has successfully published. We can click on the link to open the extension, but it will take some time to update. You can go back to where you created the publisher on extensions. You can see all of your extensions, and right now my coding timer extension is verified. Let's commit also our changes in the packaging, stage them, commit and sync changes and press OK. And in addition to publishing, you can just package your extension with vsc package, which creates this file, and when you right click it, you can go to installing extension. And now for installed extensions, you can see your extensions there. So you can send this to your friends before publishing. And within a few minutes after refreshing, I saw that my extension is published, and on these dots you can go to view extension, which will open your created extension. Let's say we want to make a change. I will just update the README, and we've made a change. How can we update what we have published? First, make a commit, stage the changes, press commit, sync the changes, OK. And now type vsce publish, and you have 3 options between major, minor and a patch. If you pick, for example, minor, the version will go from 1.0 to 1.1. I will just pick patch and hit enter. I gave the personal access token, and we've updated the extension. For us, it's 0.0.2. It was 0.1. So patch will update the 3rd digit. And now for managed extensions, we can see it's verifying the minor patch. And there we have it, the version updated. And if we refresh the page, the README is now changed. Our change went through.